Well, look, we had problems after 9/11 with the sharing of intelligence and the cooperation and communication between different agencies. So it's understandable that the CIA might not want to hear this lady's story and some of the other points, because we needed the more sharing of intelligence. We needed more agencies. But they're all trained at U.S. bases. Together.
Hold on, but they're all trained at U.S. bases. I think I just named at least a dozen of the hijackers with direct ties to U.S. bases. Why don't you hear about that?
How do you know that they were at the bases?
Again, if you listen to the thing, 3 of them listed on their car registrations and their home address as the Pensacola Navy Station in Florida. The head of the vice chancellor of the Defense Language School said he trained 4 of the hijackers. One of them we know was Al-Mari. Okay, they admit that Maxwell Air Force Base trained Atta. I mean, I want you to hold over, because we're going to do this continuity of government thing, and we're really going to go over some of these drills. So I hope you see that these aren't coincidences. If they were coincidences, or they were mistakes, somebody would have got fired. No one got fired. A lot of people got promoted. Hold over, Jeff. We might have to spend an hour with Jeff if he's willing to. It's the Infowarrior with Jason Bermas. Back after this. All right, we are back. It's the short segment. So in the respect of time, we're not going to go directly to these clips. We'll go to the clips after we talk to this guy, because we only got about 4 minutes with him. If you leave an address with the board up, I'm going to send you the movie for free. But again, trained at intelligence bases. Now, number 2, these guys aren't even the guys that get picked up that day. Who does get picked up that day? In other words, on 9/11, what else happened? Did they actually pick anybody up? Yeah, they picked up a bunch of Mossad operatives. And if you remember back in the 80s, you know about Iran-Contra, Jeff?
Yeah, I think Reagan had gave some money to these Contra fighters who were trying to have a revolution to try to.
All right, let me explain how. All right, let me explain how it really worked. The Contra fighters, all right, we had to arm them, right? So how do we arm them? Well, we don't buy the weapons. They always use a proxy nation. It's called plausible deniability. I'm sure you've heard of it before. So the U.S. actually never gave armaments financially to the Contras. What they did is they allowed Israel to take money. They would spend millions of dollars. They would buy weapons from the Czechoslovakian region and other parts of Europe, right? Now, then Israel would give the weapons to the United States military. The United States military would then fly those weapons into the U.S., okay, then they would use private contractors, so they didn't even have to use U.S. military personnel. They'd find these private contractors, in a lot of cases, just really mercenaries and drug dealers, okay? So they would take the weapons down to the Contras, and then they would get marijuana and cocaine from the Contras, and then they would have free passes to come into Florida and Mena, Arkansas military bases where they dealt the drugs. And that came out in open hearings. 14 people, including Caspar Weinberger, got convicted of it, and then Bush Sr. got into office, and he pardoned almost every single one of them. Okay, so that network never died. And that's how they kind of do these operations. In other words, the Mossad arm of this operation is for intelligence gathering. And I know you can't hold over, but if you listen to the show after this, let me tell you how it works. There's 2 companies out there. They're called Amdocs and Converse, and they oversee telecommunications for almost the entire country. In other words, whether you're on AT&T or Verizon or any of these switches, all the information has to go through these 2 things. So they actually gather intelligence. A lot of people out there think that we're not tracked, traced, and databased. They somehow think that, they're just wiretapping people that they don't like that are on a list. No, man. There is a hardwired room, and this came out in 2006. Doubt me. Go look it up yourself. AT&T versus Hepting. They just ruled on it on June 4th in appellate court. Every single major telecommunication company has a secret room where all data that you do on your computer, whether it be searching the web or using programs, anything that goes out over the internet, is doubled over in a splitter room. And then everything you do on your telephone, whether it be text messaging, talking to it, goes into the same computer. Now, that doesn't mean that there's somebody listening to everything you do. What it does is it runs through a bunch of software, and then they get keywords, and then maybe human eyes see that information. But they track, trace, and database everything anyway. And they have to have plausible deniability. I'm not saying that in 2001 it was as sophisticated as today, but in 2001, man, they had Carnivore. They had Promise. So all this, Johnny nonsense talk about, Condoleezza Rice and that PDB and in July or August before I think it was the August PDB, the August 16th memo or whatever. That's light. You know what I'm saying? I mean, there's so many other things out there. That's vanilla. I'm talking about hardcore people getting arrested on 9/11 in truck bombs, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah, but But the road you're saying this leads down to, which I don't think I could go that far, is that you're saying that there were bombs in the building and it wasn't really a plane that hit the Pentagon.
No, that's not. Hold on. Let's get over the Pentagon. Wait. Let's go to the Pentagon part first of all. Now, if you look at these drills, they're mass Armageddon drills. They're drills with UAVs in the air, all sorts of crazy stuff, right? So I don't necessarily believe that a plane didn't hit the Pentagon. I just don't think it was American Airlines Flight 77. Again, listen to the tapes. Listen to the audio operators at NORAD talking about how they're chasing Flight 11 for 40 minutes after it crashes into the building. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's tough for me. And then you look at the physical evidence of Flight 77. I mean, again, how does a plane clip 5 light poles, leave no debris anywhere on the sides? The wings don't come off. There's no vertical stabilizer. I interviewed a woman inside the building that came out of the hole and survived. She didn't see any parts of a plane. I mean, I'm not saying a plane didn't necessarily hit that building, but I highly doubt it was American Airlines Flight 77. Okay, and I forget what the other point was. What was the first point before the Pentagon that you just said?
You're saying that there were bombs in the building?
Again, Building 7, there's just no way that there's not bombs in Building 7. I, again, interviewed a survivor, one of the only two people that were in there as bombs went off. It was him and Michael Hess. Michael Hess refused my interview. We interview him. You can watch the full thing, unscripted, unedited. I'm going to send you the DVD, and we're going to play some clips of Fabled Enemies on the other side. So please, if you're not going to hold over, stay tuned. But Barry Jennings witnessed this stuff, and then they distort what he says. Back after this, it's the Info Warrior.